Hello, it's Mark Kirstein, part of our Senior Power community, and today I'm going to take you through a introduction to artificial intelligence and how it can contribute to your quality of life and address multiple areas across each of the three different areas of our focus: our health and independence, our connection with friends and family, and of course our safety and security. So by now, I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have heard about artificial intelligence. It is a software capability that is emerging in the market very quickly, and it's having a profound impact on society overall. We want to make sure that you have an understanding of how it works and how can you apply it in your world and make sure that the senior community as a whole doesn't get overlooked or bypassed by this amazing new technology. So we're going to cover a couple things today in our conversation. What is AI all about? What are some of the applications or some of the uses for? What are some of the things to be concerned about or to be wary of? And then we'll give you access to a couple of tools and resources that will help you get started. All right, so let's start with just getting a better understanding of what artificial intelligence is and how it's come to so many people's attention. Fundamentally, it is simply advanced software that is mimicking the interaction and the way that humans interact with the world. So, we've reached a stage of software where it can replicate not all of human intelligence, but rather just understand human language, predict responses, and ingest a tremendous volume of data that is readily available for us to ask simple questions of these third-party tools and get help and response that can be applied to a number of different areas in our lives. So I'm not going to get into the technical details of it, but there's a number of things to start off with. One, it's a very smart assistant. Think of it as somebody who's available to help you address your questions in a very straightforward way, because you can simply ask it, and you can ask it via a text interface, or you can actually use a voice-based interface to ask simple questions, and it'll give you responses. And it's going to act and behave like a human might respond. However, it's not a person, but it learns. It learns by the interactions that you give it. It learns by the material that it's been trained with by the companies that make these products and services available for it. What it's going to do for us, it's going to save you time. It's going to be much more efficient, and it's going to be much more capable than what you might have seen in traditional search engines like Google. It's a more natural interface because I can simply ask it straight up questions and it'll give me a response. And up front, because it's new and it's different and it may be something that we're not used to, it might be a little bit of intimidating. But I hope that you will ride along with us and take the opportunity to learn about it, because once you get an understanding of what it can do and where to be cautious with it, it will become a great tool and a great way for you to improve your quality of life across a number of different areas. So we're going to take a quick look at what some of the AI applications are good for and technologies that can help you live a more productive life. Uh, One thing to be prepared for, the pace and change attached to artificial intelligence is at lightning speed. It's moving faster than even the other technologies that we've become accustomed to on the internet and social media and those type of things. Be ready for that pace to continue and for AI to move quickly. It may feel uncomfortable, but it's better to be informed and to embrace the change than it is to let it pass you by. A couple things you may have heard of something called ChatGPT. It's probably the most famous one. It's brought a lot of attention to artificial intelligence. If you haven't had a chance to use it, go out, find it, use it. It's relatively easy to use and it's not as intimidating as one might call. These are what's called large language models, and they're simply the ability to chat, and they now have a voice interface as well. But you can chat with your keyboard and type questions into it, and it will respond like a human would. ChatGPT is not the only one. There are actually several others. So There's others from Microsoft called Copilot, from Google called Gemini. There's another called Claude. There's probably a dozen of these out in the marketplace. They're all relatively similar, and for your purposes, you probably don't need to worry about which one. Whichever one feels most comfortable with, you go with it. These feature the capability very much like a Google search, only with plain language interface. Just ask it a question, it'll give you a response. It won't give you a list of sites that have the keywords that you had, like a Google search might have. It's simply you ask it a question, it gives you a response. Be a little bit careful with these as well, because they are not perfect. I think of them like another site called Wikipedia, which is crowdsourced. In many respects, the large language models are crowdsourced. They're trained on the internet. They're not perfect. They're trained to give you an answer, not necessarily trained to give you the exact right answer. So take what they have. They'll give you a very quick response and it'll be a useful response, but be a little skeptical because sometimes they have something called hallucinations and they'll give you a wrong answer. You need to verify if it's any type of really important information. Then as we move a little bit broader than the large language models in the chat GPTs of the world, there are task-specific artificial intelligence models that are emerging that will do specific tasks for you. And we'll go through a list of a few of those in just a moment. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive onto some of the task-specific artificial intelligence and ones that, although they're aimed at the broader community, overall society, they're particularly of value to the senior community. One of them is predictive health models. So the AI or the applications that are on your cell phone, your Apple phone, your Apple Watch, those type of things, those are based on AI technology, and they're ingesting all kinds of health-based information, and they have the ability to predict and help you manage your health more effectively. You'll see a lot more of those coming out, although that's one area that you want to be cautious of because there's some privacy concerns and security concerns that you need to be cautious of when you're allowing the AI to access your health information. You might be familiar with wearable devices like the smartwatches. Those can monitor for vital signs, they can detect falls, they can send alerts to caregivers. So these are things that can be really important for the safety and security of our life. And then, just basic assistance. So Medicare management, medication management, I should say, can remind you to take your pills at the appropriate time, can watch out for medical interactions between different prescriptions, can remind you or confirm that you've taken your pills on a daily basis and enable you to get help if you need somebody to help you stay on track with that. So three categories that AI that I've mentioned before, actually, and we'll dive in a little bit deeper on this particular slide. Your smart home technology, and we've had the introduction of some smart home type devices, intelligence televisions. Of course, your cell phone itself is relatively smart. The change that you will start to see with AI attached to these is largely going to be voice activation, where traditionally voice was a little bit clumsy in the ability to tell your devices what to do and how to go about doing it with your voice didn't work all that well. Artificial intelligence is making a significant increase in the ability or usability of your smart home devices, and that's going to make them easier to use, make them more effective for you overall. The other item on this slide is the fall detection. I talked about that before as well. You can find that in your phone or in your smartwatch already. But just the ability of devices to recognize your daily patterns, to recognize your health and well-being on a regular basis and detect something that's out of the ordinary. A fall is relatively easy for these devices to detect, but they can not only detect that fall, but they can automatically notify the people that need to know that can help you if you need some assistance in response to some distressing situation. A couple of applications that you'll find with artificial intelligence might not be immediately obvious to you, but they mimic and relate to you so close to another human being that they're actually very valuable as what we would call a virtual companion. you can talk to them like a person, they'll respond like a person. They are a little bit like a pet, only in this instance it's a computerized pet, but they're very, very realistic, and some of them are even programmed to, you know, be empathetic and to respond to you in a very caring and nurturing manner. And although it may not be completely real, it certainly does offer some sense of interacting with other people and getting some socialization attached to it. Uh, the other piece on this slide that I'll get to is the cognitive training. So, the AI-powered games and exercises and training tools can help stimulate and keep our brains engaged, keep us active, keep us thinking about different things. But even beyond pure traditional cognitive estimates, they're simply great training tools because they've essentially been themselves, these artificial intelligence agents have been trained on the entire contents of all public information that's available in digital form. They've been trained on the entire internet. So you can use them to help train you or to help, teach you new capabilities, no matter what you're interested in. Just like the internet itself, you can get it to train you in history. You can get it to train you in hobbies. You can get it to train you in maintaining your RV. Just anything you can possibly imagine. They're fantastic training engines. Take advantage of that because most, if not all, of the training capabilities that you'll find using artificial intelligence is going to be relatively free. So two technologies, one that you're probably used to already, navigation aids. They're powered by artificial intelligence and they have been for quite some time. So you're living with AI in devices, in capabilities that have already impacted your life. Autonomous vehicles, the features attached to those are starting to move into new cars, but even more profound is a car's ability to drive themselves. So many of us are familiar with Teslas. They have full self-driving capabilities, but more uh, completely automated vehicles. There are several that are out right now. I'm in the Phoenix area, and we have Waymo cars that are driving without a driver on a regular basis and shuttling passengers around. As a mobility option for seniors, this is fantastic. Obviously we could call an Uber, we could call a taxi cab, we could call our friends, but the automated vehicles just make it a little bit easier to feel comfortable and safe in that environment. And the interesting thing is, although it may seem strange and uncomfortable to sit and engage in a driverless car, the driverless cars are already proving to be as safe or safer than human drivers. So if you trust the statistics and the underlying technology, which may take some time to do, ultimately, driverless vehicles will end up being more effective in terms of safety and ability to respond to them than traditional vehicles. So now let's look at AI in a little bit of a broader context because the impacts of AI are truly profound. They have a lot of impacts that we hear about. Sometimes we hear about potential job losses and innovation that is driving automation and potentially putting people out of work. We won't get into that debate here. All I can tell you is that past technical innovations have created new jobs that we couldn't possibly imagine. And ultimately, at least for the foreseeable future, these are tools to make the job and the economy more efficient rather than completely displace jobs. This is a global phenomenon, and it's a global phenomenon with, competitive differentiation between companies, but also competitive fights between nations and between power with national security and economic implications that are truly life changing. So it's something worth understanding just from the impact on society overall. We already talked about jobs and economy. It has the potential to significantly increase the productivity of the economy. Productivity means faster GDP growth and faster overall society growth, as long as we can manage or navigate our way through the social implications, which is potential job losses, retraining, those type of things. Those may not be top of mind for us as the seniors, but we do want a healthy economy. We want low inflation. We want things that will continue to make our economic well-being as well as our family's economic well-being. And understanding AI and the impact is important for all of us to understand how it's evolving. The technological change is unprecedented. If you thought computers and internet had a fast level of change, their developments in AI is moving about 2 to 3 times as fast as computers did, and it's what we would call an exponential curve, which means it's doubling in performance, over a short period of time. So whatever you learn, be prepared to continuously learn new things. But one time or another, you have to jump on the bandwagon. You have to get your feet wet and participate, or else you get even further left behind. So that's one of the things that we hope to help with. And then you also need to be aware of the privacy and security implications that are attached to it. You may have already heard of what they call deep fakes. Artificial intelligence is incredibly capable of creating video of people, audio of people that's not real. And so, unfortunately, there are bad people in this world who are using artificial intelligence to try to, create even more impactful fraud, and they're going to target it at the senior community. We want you to be aware of AI and those implications to stay safe and avoid these frauds. So be aware of how capable these are. If we talk about safety and security in another podcast, we'll go into a little bit more depth as to how to protect yourself. Right now, it's just important to be aware of that not everything that you see or hear is necessarily accurate, because AI can mimic things and make them very, very compelling. It does also have impacts on your sensitive and private data. So, the companies that are using your data, the companies who have access to your data are feeding it into AI models. You want to be aware when you're giving anybody or any program or any other entity, your personal and private data, including health data, financial data, etc. You want to be cautious and be aware that these AI agents are ingesting this information, and that has a risk to you that you need to be conscious of. And then the last piece, which is the piece that I really want to emphasize, is the digital divide, meaning there are the haves and the have-nots of digital overall, but AI is developing in that world as well. That's our mission as part of our senior power here, is to make sure that the senior community is not overlooked, and that the senior community gets the opportunity to participate in the truly amazing technology that is artificial intelligence, but also is prepared to navigate through the potential downsides and come out, with success at the end. All right, so time for a bit of a summary. There's a lot of free tools available. And of course, if you want more power and if you want some of the privacy features, which I do recommend, and if you can afford it, do explore the paid versions of these tools. But there's free versions of most of them. Go out, explore, get your feet wet, get a sense of what these tools can do. ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Claude, etc. They're very, very valuable, and they're relatively easy to engage. And it's time to learn how to use AI to enrich your life, to get a better quality of life, and not be intimidated by them. Second is, we have a website, our website, of course, where we have taken some of these free tools and we've made them a little bit more senior friendly, focused on senior issues, focused on health and independence, on friends and family, on safety and security, the very issues that we talk about here as part of our senior power community. And that's just really a specialized version of the broad-based ChatGPT and large language models. But that will make it a little bit easier for you to use and a little bit more friendly and capable in the issues that are important to you. And there's a few of the task-specific artificial intelligence tools that we've selected and or created that are focused on senior issues and making your life easier, leveraging artificial intelligence to solve or help with some of the problems that the senior community struggles with on a regular basis. So that is what we have for you today as a basic introduction to artificial intelligence, some of the applications that you can look for today. As you look to move forward, what I would encourage you is there's a combination of different resources available to you. You know, go out and find the Chat GPTs or the Gemini artificial intelligence bots of the world right now and start to play with them. Many of them are free. The biggest thing that you can expect of free versus paid version is the paid version is going to give you more security, so often it's worth spending the $10 to $20 per month that it costs in order to protect your security and your safety by using ones that are more secure. And the paid versions typically have a lot more power and a lot more capabilities to them. You may not need that up front, but at the same time, it's important to understand the implications. For starters, go out, find ChatGPT, use it, ask it questions, interact with it, learn or ask it to teach you how to use it more effectively. Ask us to teach you how to use it more effectively as well. You can also go to our website where we have made some specific AI tools. Basically, we've customized or put some specific instructions around ChatGPT to make it more relevant and more directly applicable to the senior community. So you see the web address below, www.ourseniorpower.com. You'll see some senior specific chat engines that you can ask questions and get a little bit further down the road, and then some specific tools for navigating some of the health, safety, and family issues to get you a better quality of life. Overall, that's it for me for this week. Uh, Please reach out to us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, come out to the website, test out the tools.